What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast. And we got part two with the Traveling Fisherman. I guess it's actually considered part three if we're going to be technical about it. But we had Traveler on, about a month and a half ago, and we got started on a subject, and we're going to start the podcast out with it. And because we're trying to figure out. We don't believe that it's going to pass, but we do want people to know about it. That there is a group from overseas that's trying to get fishing and hunting banned in a couple of states. There's like two or three states that they're trying to get that done, and so we're wanting to talk about it, and then we've got some other stuff that we're wanting to talk about. But Traveler Matt, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, my friend. How are we doing?
Man, we can't complain. Can't complain. So how's fishing been? Let's talk real quick about fishing, and then down in Florida, and then let's get back on the subject that we were talking about when last time we had you on. If that's good.
Yeah, that's good. I wish I was doing more fishing in different spots. Normally, I try to split my time between, saltwater fishing, freshwater and stuff. Really haven't done much saltwater fishing, but, for the freshwater stuff, it's been on a decline, at least in some of the areas that I've fished in. And I think I think that's due to everybody taking stuff, partially taking stuff, poor pond management, spraying, overdevelopment, them running drains into some of these places. The biggest fish that I've seen since we've been here was that one I caught, I think last week was at 314, and that's unheard of.
Yeah.
In the past, there was days where I averaged 6 and 7 pound fish. And going back to these same places, we're seeing smaller and smaller fish and just less and less of the good ones.
Man, it's really sad to see that. Because Florida is a heck of a state to be able to go and do some fishing and enjoy your time and be able to know that you have an opportunity every time that you put your bait in the water to catch a what could be your PB. I mean, some people's PB may be 6-7 pounds, but some may be a double digit. You also, you have that opportunity to be able to catch that double digit anytime that you go out. And I definitely agree. I've seen it over the past 4 or 5 years to where the spraying it's kind of gotten really out of hand. And I heard, and I don't know how true it is, but I heard from somebody that is pretty credible source that like Okeechobee they're spraying and then they're turning around and a couple months later they're planting grass back in the place where they just sprayed. Just so, and their thinking on it was, well, they got money to be able to spend, so they're having to blow that money, and then just so they can have that job security for next year, and so I don't think, that they really look at it too much. They don't look at it through a fisherman's eye, anyways, that much. If it's Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, because I think if they did, then they would realize really how much, like, they're really they're hurting fish all around, from bait fish to everything.
Where's the environmentalists, that should be part of it, because wildlife is being affected. The eagles are being there's a ton of wildlife that are being affected by it, and we can get into this a little bit about that group. We need groups like that to get these signatures to set this up in place,
Right.
because we're not going to have these fisheries moving forward. We're not going to have, we're not going to have these for the next generation. You know what I mean? It's just, they're destroying the waterways. But not only that, like, again, I don't think they realize the environmental impact that it has, all this
Right.
spraying and everything. It just doesn't just affect the fishing, it affects everybody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. And I mean, because you're very fortunate in being able to travel around the United States and stuff like that and be able to fish these different impoundments and stuff, with it lakes, rivers, or whatever. Um, and have you noticed, like, are they doing this pretty much like everywhere? Like when you was in Missouri, were they talking about how they sprayed grass in Missouri?
I didn't hear about it. I didn't fish a lot of places, but a few of the places that I did fish looked amazing, clean, good greenery, good grass, good hydrilla, all that stuff. Down here, it's a gem. Now, if you like, there was a place that I just discovered, a few weeks ago, and really good looking hydrilla, good
Uh,
grass. The bass look healthy. For how long that's going to stay like that, I don't know, because that's one of the biggest things I've noticed returning to Florida these past 10 years. It's been on a decline, and I don't see it getting any better. I've returned to a lot of these bodies of water that I fish at. They look dirtier, the fish look sicker, the water levels are getting at an all-time low.
right.
That's a whole nother thing we could talk about, not having that rain, but that's a whole nother subject. But just,
Yeah.
you know, the poor pond management, the spraying, they're just, and then, again, then we've talked about that before, us getting pushed out, people coming in, taking over these bodies of water, you know, private property, no fishing, whatever. And so it's getting worse. And I would think
Yeah.
that DeSantis and all them would want to get involved to protect that again, because that's big money for Florida.
Correct.
Now, are these bodies of water that you're speaking of, uh, or are you noticing it more like in a neighborhood bodies of water, or just kind of, how
Both,
I mean, you can run down Florida and there's ponds and lakes everywhere. Is it
both,
both?
because I see it's the neighborhood ponds are getting hit the worst as far as getting sprayed and it's being neglected, and then people taking stuff, because
Mhm.
again, I'm a big advocate on that. Hey, you know, just because you have a driver's license, you still have to stay within a parameter, right, of certain things. It's the same thing. The big discussion is, well, I have a fishing license. It's my right to a degree. If we can all respect the limits, the creel limits, and all that stuff, but
Right.
that doesn't happen down here. And then no, and it's not enforced. You
Right.
know, and so again, you have all these different factors affecting that. And again, I'm all about culling. I'm all about you taking your limit, but why are you doing it at this little neighborhood pond? With you do that for a few seasons, that pond is
That,
done.
yeah.
Mhm.
Go to a
And
big body of water. Go to a river. Go to a lake. Go to the ocean. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, and especially with Florida, I mean, pretty much anywhere you're at in Florida, within 2.5 hours, you can be at an ocean. If it's the Gulf or if it's the Atlantic, I
And
mean,
some
you're
river
very,
systems.
yeah.
And there's river systems.
And so, I mean, and if you really,
Canals.
correct, I mean, but especially in neighborhood ponds and stuff, that, I mean, it's going to, if you have one person doing it, it'll take a little bit for people to see the effects of it. But if you have a neighborhood that's got 200 houses in it and you have 50 people taking limits every time they go out, that pond's going to be toast in it.
And
Yeah.
And those places are the ones that are getting sprayed the hardest, because and we're dealing with it here where we're at. They don't like the lily pads, because some people,
Right.
oh, well, it, and facts versus
Yeah.
feelings, right? The fact of the matter is, right, it's a healthy environment for wildlife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's see.
But
And Jerry says, never take breeding stock size fish. So,
you
and
you
especially
can't.
if you see them on, I mean, because Florida has 6 months, 7 months of spawning season, and so, I mean, if you see a fish that's on bed, I mean, you definitely do not want to take take home a spawning fish.
You know, one of the big issues with one of the places, that place that's kind of off limits now, and you know what, I guess if it's true or not, and if they are keeping people out of there, I guess, I don't know. But when we would go there a lot, they would have these groups that would come in there on weekends, cast netting, and I watched a ton of fish, big fish, getting pulled off beds because they would cast net them. You know, again, it's such a huge problem that, you know, and then it goes back to, you know, like DNR or FWC not stepping in and policing these places and doing what they need to do, because there's times where I've called. There's other people have called. There's on certain places down here, and it's not we're calling to be, you know, a Karen. We're calling to, hey, because listen, we got to follow these rules and regs. We want to have a healthy, you know, environment, a place that will be sustainable.
Right.
And if you come in every day and you're casting it and taking all these fish, it'll be over.
Yeah, because they're probably casting it, and if they're casting it for bait, they're probably taking that bait somewhere else to go fishing.
They're not casting it for bait. They're taking tilapia. I mean, these guys would come in. They'd come in with coolers, and they were just taking whatever. What I watched them. I mean, we had video of this stuff. A group of us went and said, "Hey, man, this is happening regularly. You can't have this. We follow, again. You have that license. You have to follow a certain parameter, but this isn't healthy for this place. And you can't do that. There's these laws in place. Why aren't you guys doing anything about it?" And it was, well, we're busy, or it's, you know, that's a whole nother debate we could have, because it's something I'm passionate about. Because I said years ago at this place, I said, if this keeps going the way it's going, eventually it's going to be off limits. And sure enough, here we are a few years later, and it's off limits.
Right. I mean, because again, like we were raised, you know, when we go to a place and fish, we always want to leave it, or if we borrow something, we want to leave it better than we got.
Then you found it, yeah.
And so let's see. Jerry has a comment I'll get to in a second, but my thing is like when you start trashing these, like especially neighborhood lakes that are good fishing lakes that you're able to fish prior to, and people are coming there leaving their trash, and
that was a big part of it,
right? And then we get upset because the HOA comes in and says, "Hey, no more fishing. No, you cannot do this." And so to an extent, I understand why they do it, but if it's a public accessible lake, they should not.
Which it is.
Right.
It's still there's still there's kind of a, like I said, I've had other people looking into it, other groups we're still looking into it. Still kind of seems like they don't have. Doesn't seem like 100% legit is what we're saying. You know what I mean? Because the company that owns it doesn't have ties to the HOA, but yet somehow they're in cahoot. You know, they're in bed with each other. You know what I mean? And somehow, and again, these signs that they put up, there's no legitness to them. There's some generic sign that they 3D printed or something. You know what I mean?
Right. Jerry says, I have property in 2 different counties, and just one of those counties has registered 200 lakes of various sizes, and he says there's just not enough FWC officers. And so
I mean, you know, I may have a different opinion. I mean, I get it, but I mean, they got no problem taking our money. We have to have a license, right? Yeah. If we get caught without a license, I don't know.
I mean, and TWRA is the same way. We just don't want people to think that it's just Florida deal. TWRA, I know this year they bulked up, or I say bulked up. They've got 6 officers now in the East Tennessee area. And so it's really not, and like the only time that you will see TWRA, even on Chickamauga, with as busy as what Chickamauga is, the only time that you will see a boat out on the water is when it's a holiday during the summer. That is practically the only time that you're going to see them. I couldn't tell you when the last time that I had. I don't know if in 42 years that I have ever had a TWRA guy come up and actually check my fishing license.
Once.
Oh, I have.
In 11 years being down here once.
Yeah. So, but that should, I mean, because to me, I see from doing the podcast and talking to other people and stuff that it's, again, it's not just through in Florida, guys. I mean, Tennessee has the same thing about spraying, but I think our big thing on the Tennessee River, and Pappy, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not really the TWRA. It's the people who lives on the lake that's in the back of a slough that happens to have grass in it. They're coming and paying somebody to come and spray. That is where we're seeing a lot of the sloughs and stuff that are. I hear some music.
You guys hearing that?
Yeah.
What is that?
Hey, Pappy.
Hmm?
Is Tina got a TV on?
Yeah, but I'm like on the other side of the house.
Oh, well, now I don't. Do you hear? I don't hear it now.
Well,
Okay. I'm going to tell Tina that you're the one that was blaming her, so I don't get in trouble. So, but that's where we're seeing that that our main issue, because TWRA is staying on the main channel, and I understand them doing the main channel for the aspect of the Tennessee River is a navigable body waterway. And so we do have to make sure that it's cleared out for barges and stuff like that to get in and get out. So I understand the main channel, but when you have these people that are property owners that are spraying the whole slough to where they don't have any kind of grass in their slough, all that's got to come out. It's eventually going to come out into the main river channel, and it's going to get places on the main river channel, let alone back in the slough where you really want to fish and around the docks and stuff like that. So that's to me is our main issue is the property owner.
And it's always been that issue. I mean, for Chickamauga, anyways, even before Chickamauga really started getting, the fishing really started getting better. It's always been like that. It's not necessarily TVA. It's property owners, that live in the back of these sloughs. Well, guess what? I mean,
but TVA's a fall guy.
Yeah, but and everything travels downstream. It's going to come out of the sloughs and cuts and everything else, and it's always been an ongoing problem.
Yeah,
and where TVA is at fault is by not stepping in.
Yeah,
that's where they're at fault, or well, not even TVA, TWRA. They're the ones that really need to step in. But I mean, what can you do though?
Yeah,
I mean, honestly.
Jerry says in the state of Florida, a person is only allowed 5 bass per day, and which only one can be 16 inches or longer. What is the creek limit in your state for bass? Ours is the exact same thing. Besides 16, it's 15. Well, no, they have to be 15 inches to be in the box. So we can have 5 fish over 15 inches. I mean, that's how, if you're going to have 5 bass, that they have to be over 15 inches.
Well, that's largemouth, ain't it?
Yeah, largemouth is 15.
Smallmouth.
smallmouth is 18 inches.
18. Yeah.
And spotted
Spot
bass
12.
is 12.
Yeah.
So, but so Traveler, do you think like if they kind of going on the limit wise, do you think if they had like a slot limit for uh like the lakes there that it would help out? Because Texas has a slot and
Yeah,
Texas is booming, you
that's
know.
part of it. It's not everything. The other big thing is, again, the spraying, and then the overbuilding. And again, then the one place that we can't fish anymore. I went by there the other day. There's 2 new drainages that they built and put in there because they're building up again around it. Well,
Yeah,
you introduce anything new into that body of water, it changes everything.
yeah, yeah.
And that's what happened to another place that has been there for forever. And I used to fish, and I still fish that place, but just I can't. I don't even know the last time I got a giant bass out of there, because it's just, again, it's catch and release only. But if nobody's there to enforce that, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's got a boat ramp, and it's a small place too.
Yeah. So I kind of be interested because I know we got Steven Sturgeon is in here. Excuse me, from Illinois, and I'd be interested to kind of see Stephen, if can you put in there like how are they spraying grass? Do y'all have the grass issue there in Illinois? I think that would be interesting. Or anybody else that's in the chat for whatever state that you're in, just kind of let us know. And because I think it'd be interesting to see uh, kind of how other states and because I mean to go back on the Texas, I mean I think they've kind of they have done it right. I mean you do not get the size of the fish in OHIV or Fork or Sam Rayburn that they have without them doing what they've done. And so, but since we're kind of talking on before we get into anything else, hey Pappy, you want to go on and do what was going?
Yeah. So we're still looking and needing some
Salute to Valor.
vets. Yeah, salute to Valor vets. Whether they're active duty, you know, it doesn't matter. A vet or not. I mean, we're needing some guys we're needing you guys to send us some info. We talked about it. We need MOS's names, dates that they were in service dates, so that we can start honoring these guys, because what they do and what they have done, and for the ones that are still active and what they're doing, it's priceless.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is small, we know, but it's so gratifying to know that, what we get to tell these, put these guys out here, men or women, to let them know that we really appreciate them for everything that they do and everything that they have done. Even the war vets of old, from the past, they paved the way for us. So if you could send us those that information to Josh Vaughn at decktalkpodcast.com or Colin Burnett at decktalkpodcast.com, or messages on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the platforms, we would really, really greatly appreciate it. It could be friend, family, yourself. It doesn't matter. We really want to honor our men and women in uniform.
Yeah.
Colin, I sent you his number, the Rodfather, I'd reach out to him. He's down here. He's the guy that takes the vets out on his boat.
Yeah, I need to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I need to reach out to him. I tried calling him, and I think and it was on the weekend, and it rang a couple times. It went to voicemail, but he definitely would. I need to send him a text message and then
Yeah.
get in touch with him.
Mhm.
Steven says, uh, no grass issue around me. Most of the areas I fish are wildlife managed areas, so spraying is not really done around here. So, more of the focus on keeping invasive floral and fauna out of our system. So, I uh, I know, and I know that Jerry and all that knows with being has fished up here on the Tennessee River. If you can find some main river channel grass on these Tennessee River, you can smash some good
Oh
fish on the
yeah.
Tennessee River. Um, but I do want to we kind of teased it a little bit at the beginning, and we can hit on it a little bit. And but there's Oregon and Colorado. There's something that people may want. We do not think that it's going to get passed, but it's kind of interesting for people to to realize that there's a group that's from overseas that's trying to push to where there's no hunting and fishing. um, and part of that bill also is they're trying to do away with the farming to where uh, they do not for you cannot get anything from a farm. And so which is very horrible because pretty much everything that we have or anything has some way, form, or fashion has come from a farm. Um, so that was when I had read that. It was kind of disappointing to see, but I think the group is mainly trying to get. I don't know how to what is it to where they have that fake burger and stuff like that, fake meat, to where it's not really meat, but it tastes like meat.
Uh,
Impossible Burger,
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
something
Yeah.
like that.
the
That
plant
they're,
based.
right, that they're
Mm.
trying to get that pushed in. That company was kind of intertwined somewhere with doing that. That's what they're trying to push, and so
It'll never pass.
no. But and the thing is like and the last time you was on Traveler, you mentioned it when we first had started talking about it. Like if they let's say it does happen to where you cannot hunt and fish in Oregon or Colorado, and I believe there's another state I cannot remember what it is, but those two states that I do know. Let's say they do away with the hunting and fishing. How long do you think before it starts getting overran by wildlife?
I mean, I'd say within
Yeah,
a year to 4 years. You know, what I mean, year to 4 year, 3 4 years.
yeah, it's
I mean, not a
and then
year, like not a year, but within that 3 to 5 year range. How about that?
yeah, I definitely agree because that they don't when people is trying to push that. I don't really think that they look at it as it's being inhumane to animals and this and that. And that's their debate on it, saying it's wildlife. It's cruelty to wildlife. But I mean, the good Lord put them animals on this earth for a reason. And Pappy, if I remember correctly, Pappy said, to have a hunt each year is actually good to be able to thin out to where because each year they're not going to stop spawn or breeding. They're going to keep on breeding. There's going to keep more and more coming on. And so those hunts are to thin out to keep that at a certain number and to be able uh,
You
to
know, I
kind of manage that.
Well, the problem is when if you don't have some type of management, especially like for farmers and stuff like that, I don't know if people don't realize how any kind of wildlife, especially like deer,
Yeah.
Just say deer. You know, they get in these soybean farms and they get in these cornfield or soybean fields, cornfields, wheat fields, and they will wreak havoc
Yeah.
on a farmer's, land. And it goes for hogs as well. I mean, if you
Hogs are the worst, though.
absolutely, and then you take it to the farming side. Well, kind of back it up a little bit. They wreak havoc on the farmers' crops, and guess what? They're losing money on that. And everything that they plant is their income.
Yeah.
So, if there's not some type of management there, it'll be bad. I mean,
Yeah.
just bad, period.
I think and maybe I'm wrong on my thinking on this. I think probably would be one of their biggest roadblocks. What about Native Americans? Right? You know what I mean? Like, because there's a lot that they still, and rightfully so, how these groups out there, all the rights that they have, and rightfully so to that. But I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? That's just one of many trickle downs that I can't believe that it's gotten as far as it has gotten.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, I never would thought in my lifetime that I would hear of certain groups trying to ban fishing, hunting, or even fishing with live bait. I mean,
not here though. You're saying because this isn't U.S. based, right? This is somewhere overseas.
Well, no, the group is overseas that they're trying to get this banned here in the United States.
No, right. But
Right.
I'm saying the entity behind this is overseas.
Yes.
Right.
So there's no backing from anybody from the U.S. that we know of, right?
Well, that we know of.
That we know of. Correct. So but saying there's another bill because Pappy just kind of hit on it and reminded me there is something that they're trying to pass nationwide as for live bait being used to where one you cannot transport live bait from state to state, in which I know you got Mississippi and Arkansas are the two biggest. There's two companies in Mississippi, one company in Mississippi, one in Arkansas, that I know, especially for the Southeast, that they are the biggest bait suppliers for bait shops in the Southeast. And if they can't transport live bait with yeah, I mean, it's just, and then
locally source it out then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but my thing is, and I don't know how they can justify that when you got, like, let's just say, for instance, Chickamauga. I mean, Chickamauga has a lot of bait.
Yeah.
So how can you justify saying you cannot use live bait to catch fish when all these fish are they're feeding up on gizzard shad, shiner, bluegill, smaller bass, or whatever? How can they justify saying that when that's just a natural instinct for a bass?
Right.
I mean,
any kind of predator, predator fish, coyotes, foxes, anything that's a predator. I mean, how can you rightfully so say that, because they alone cannot manage what needs to be managed with everything with how the world is growing. There's a reason, there's a rhyme and reason why that's in place. And I just don't think a lot of people understand that. They say, oh, it's cruel and unjust, but I mean, really it's not, because actually a lot of people depend on that source of food for a source of food,
well, I mean, Alaska, how many people in Alaska, Traveler,
prime example,
depends on the salmon run?
I mean, the state basically.
Yeah.
I would say the state, everybody up there relies on whether it's salmon, and you're talking some of the because we have friends that were up in like the native villages.
Right.
Right.
They're taking seals. They're still doing like all that stuff. Like so, it's. But yeah, I mean that's one of the biggest things is that salmon run.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's to me. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and we want people to be aware of what's kind of going on, and I think they're kind of focusing on states if they think that they can probably get it passed into, and if they get it passed into that they're going to try to expand it into to wherever they can get it.
But
But
this will have to go federal. Like it'll have to be it'd be major, man. I mean, it would be,
yeah,
I think, historic, but in a bad way. That if something like that were to pass,
yeah,
think
oh,
about
it would
everything
be,
else that you're going to introduce if that were to pass.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and
I
then
mean,
because like, what would happen to Florida if you couldn't get rid of nuisance gators? You couldn't get rid of
Pythons.
pythons or iguanas or something like that. What would happen to how fast? I mean, because when the pythons breed and stuff like that, I mean, they're dropping 50 of them, and I mean, you're gonna have pythons everywhere.
Yeah.
and that's a low number.
Yeah.
Well, it would probably help with the snowbird population.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and not only that, I mean, just the fisheries everywhere. I mean, from north, south, east, and west. I mean, it would have a huge and tremendous effect on the ecosystem, all
Yes.
the fisheries, everything.
yeah.
It's everything.
And
That's what's bad.
and I think that's another thing that I wish just let's say on this app alone or social media that we should be coming together more and really being a voice and putting something together. I mean, getting it, being that voice for that on the other side. Because think about the amount of people. Because if you hadn't brought that up to me, I never would have known about it.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean? So
that's
I think we need to get it out there more because
right.
again, okay, you said they have 9,000 signatures. Well, let's get 30,000 signatures opposing it and saying why it needs to stay or why we need to set up
Right.
these sanctions and you know what I mean? I just think that's
Exactly.
something that we should do moving forward. You know what I mean?
Well,
Everybody.
and that's one thing that the reason why we wanted to bring you back on and to finish the conversation with it because how it's written up underneath another bill, like a bill that they're trying to get passed. It's small print.
Of course.
So how they want right.
That's
I
how it
mean,
happens.
because they want you to look at this hand when they got something going on this hand. And so right. So, but
No, yeah.
so they but we want people to kind of I mean, we're not trying to be political or anything like that on the podcast by no means, but when it comes down to where, I mean, for those states right now, I mean, that could affect hunting and fishing for generations. And
Yes.
Mhm.
and for what we try to take care of our fisheries for not just our kids or grandkids, but the grandkids after that. I mean, because we want
Generation. I mean, generations. Right. I mean, down. I mean, because it could alter the future of it.
yeah, exactly. And so,
But all
uh,
this stuff may be relics, and there'll be no water, no clean water, no sustainable water, and you're not allowed to do any of that either.
right.
I know.
So, but and to me, I mean, and that's just sad. I mean, because in which we talked about it, Traveler, when that we've talked about like we'd rather see the kids out fishing instead of playing a PlayStation or Xbox. You know, um, I'd rather them get a sunburn, scrape knees, get dirty jeans, and all that and
Yeah,
stuff.
but and not to get I don't walk the line. I don't like to talk about certain things, but they don't though. You know what I mean? They don't want
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
They don't want to see that.
So, but so Melanie says it's people's livelihood. It's
It's
you're
everything.
Exactly right. Yeah.
It's a huge effect on everything.
Yeah.
so
Well, and it's something else. I mean, when you got in let's just say a small area, that's overpopulated, and these animals have to compete with one another. What do you think they're going to do?
yeah,
They're going to kill each other. They're going to,
It's
they're going to do what they got to do
oh no,
to survive.
my thing though. What's next though?
exactly.
If you pass that and allow that, what's next? They don't want to look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Look down the road from it. What's next?
Well, I think how they're starting it is they start like in a, a county, or and see how far they can go from there. Then it'll spread to another county. Then eventually it's into a state. Then you get one state going, and it's a snowball effect.
Yeah, and again, just my 2 cents, which isn't worth much. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
I think there would be too much. I don't want to say outrage, but there'd be too much involved. There's no, I mean, I would like to think there'd be more people involved to say this is really dangerous if we
Yeah.
even entertained to get into where it was, voting on a bill to pass this, like,
Right.
because it's a snowball effect. It's not just, it doesn't affect one thing. I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? But nothing surprises me these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, all we are just three flunkies just sitting on a podcast, just chit chatting.
Right. But I'm really glad that you brought this up. And I think
Yeah.
for you guys, even if build on this and get that out there, I want to talk about it more, at least on my side of it. But
Yeah.
because, like I said, I didn't know about this, but this is something that needs to be put out there.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely does.
but yeah, and that's one again. That's we started the conversation the last time that you was on, and so we kind of wanted to have you come back on real quick to be able to finish up the conversation.
Sure.
But with that being said, I mean, there's the fishing industry kind of took another little hit this weekend, and it's sad that what was it 3 years ago when the people got caught with putting weights and stuff in walleyes, and I never thought that that we would see it in the bass world. For some odd reason, I never thought. But then I got to thinking, they had in this particular tournament, they had $10,000 riding on first place. With big fish, they would have had $11,500. And I can understand that people get in situations to where they're money hungry, and that they're going to try to do anything that they can by whatever means that it takes. And so it was sad to see last night when I had gotten home. It was sad to see something that said that a angler from Texas got arrested for putting weights into a largemouth. And so it's hard to, Traveler, for people that's honest and stuff like that go out there and have fun, even if tournament fishing, I mean, it is what it is. You're either on top or you're not. And so, I mean, and the not is going to be more likely to some. And, but it's sad to see, especially from Lake Fork. I mean, this guy has totally ruined his whole life because now he's got federal charges on him, and and if he has a family or whatever, kids, he's going to be spending a lot of time away from them for what, $10,000, $11,000. So, and then for him to get bailed out, I mean, if he won big fish and the tournament, he was still $9,000 short from his bail money. So how, I mean, it's not justifiable. And I was glad to see that the Texas wildlife, I mean, they jumped in right away. That they done their due diligence from what I could see, and was able to press charges on that guy. Um, but it's sad to see that happened to the fishing industry again.
Sure.
So, um, I I mean, I don't know, how do we go get past this to where this is not a thought in anglers' mind? And is it because the prize money is so much? I mean, you got the elites that's fishing for $150,000. Is the prize money too big, and the greed of money for the anglers is is that what the problem is?
I mean, just we all know, and Melanie said the same thing. We know money's the root of all evil. Money makes
Yeah.
you do a lot of messed up things, and we don't know this guy's history, his background. Maybe he was involved with debt or gambling. You know what I mean? Just it's
Right.
money. It's we don't know someone's motivation,
Yeah.
right? But it's always on our mind, right? We all think about it. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Not me so much. I love my life, but we all money. You know what I mean? But I think we need to make an example out of somebody. That's where it starts, right? You have to
Right.
make an example out of somebody, and maybe it sounds harsh, and maybe I'm going to get some shrugs, but I think you pull his guiding license,
Yeah.
and maybe pull his license or
Yeah.
X amount of time and say, you know what I mean, like, because that's the only way you're not going to do it again, right?
Yeah. I mean, because apparently, we were talking about it earlier. Jail time is not it's not scaring people enough to go sit in jail.
Not like it used to.
No, and uh, so I mean, what is? I mean, how? I mean, they hit him pretty hard. I mean, with I mean, it's going to be money now. He's affected and I forgot until you just said that, like, because he was a guide on Lake Fort as well.
Yep. So pull the
So
guide service,
yeah,
pull his license.
So I mean, how? I mean, they have to make an example of somebody, and it looks like he's going to be the culprit because I mean, Pappy has a saying: if you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. So,
No, I
Well,
get it.
here's the thing. I just don't think, no matter what we do, there's always going to be that one.
yeah,
You know, and I don't know that there is an answer because I mean, just 3 years ago it happened. And how long has it been happening before people really started paying attention?
yeah. Well, and
We
that's
really don't know that.
I mean, the
And
people.
how can you, I mean, I know what we can do if we find out what, I mean, if somebody's cheating, but there's always
Yeah,
going to be that one person that is going to push the limit because, like everybody said now, the money is root to all evil, and it's going to it's going to hurt. I mean, just like another one is your sins will find you out. Well, guess what? So far, and how everybody's
yeah,
getting found out now is people's actually paying attention to what's going on. Because used to it would be they'd string them up or they'd put them in a basket, put them at a certain place, and people was finding them, and now they moved on to something else. What's the next one?
yeah.
What are they
Well,
going to do next?
on the post that Tech Talk had posted this morning, um, we had a comment, and this is it's not going to be word for word, but pretty much what he was saying is he was from Texas, and he said that last year his boy was fishing a tournament and had caught a fish. He said what they're seeing now is because Texas has a slot limit that they're catching these fish that are over or that's in that slot to where they have to, they cannot take them or whatever. And that they're cutting the tails there to where it fits in the area that they can take them. And so now you're getting a bigger fish for a smaller size. And so he said that his boy was fishing a tournament and it had a trim tail on it. And so he said he didn't believe it until he saw it. And so, but so I mean, I guess if you're going to do wrong, there's always going to be they're always going to be trying to find a way to be able to kind of find that gray area, I guess is.
Yeah.
So, but
it's old as time. Everybody, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you something else to kind of elaborate on what Stephen just said, and it is so true. He said people do things full well knowing that is against the law. Punishment is just not scary enough, and that is so true. I know back when I was younger, and even still today. I mean, I respect the rules, the laws of of what is before us, the Constitution and everything. But people nowadays, they're not afraid of it. They're not scared to stand up and challenge you on certain things or anything like that. Why? That goes back to the home.
No accountability. There's no accountability.
Yes, and it is sad that it is affecting. It's crazy how it affects the fishery and the wildlife and the hunting and everything because of the home. It's truly sad. It's truly sad because we're not scared anymore. People are they're just not afraid of consequences, And that's one thing I always try to teach. I always try to teach my kids is, you do something stupid, there's going to be a consequence to it. Yeah. Whether it's a good one or a bad one. If it's stupid, it's going to be bad. But hey, you praise the good, and you get punished for the bad. Period.
Well, I believe in the deal of some of these people hadn't been punched in the face recent enough. So,
so I was gonna say they need to bring back the bike rack and 3 o'clock.
Or
remember those days?
Yeah, or a bar of soap and a sock. I mean,
Right.
But there's no accountability. You know, I mean that's a lot of it, and I think if you're not afraid, right, you're going to do something. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, and maybe it's the fact that this came out last night, and maybe it's just the fact of they get that first 48 hours of people blasting and doing like what we're doing, talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But then after the fact, do y'all know what happened to the people that put weights in the walleye from 3 years ago?
Yeah, do we know?
No, that's they talk bad about them for the first 48 hours, and then it goes away. I think that it needs to stay in the public eye of these fishermen so they know that this is what happened. Joe Smo over here put weight in a bass, and we know that he's getting charged for a 3rd-degree felony. And well, what is it going to cost him? I mean, the people on the walleye, all we know is that it cost them over almost $2 million worth of winnings and boats and stuff and sponsorship stuff. That's all we heard, because as soon as it happened, we knew the sponsorships, their sponsors came out saying that we do not approve what they done, this and that. They were not associated with them anymore. But do you know are those guys still in jail? Are they out and about with the public? Do they have a fishing career or whatever? Or
Right.
what's going on? You don't
Right.
know, because it's almost like the media wants people to know what they want you to know.
No.
And so, but I'm talking about as in, like,
I know.
they, as soon as it's not a hot topic anymore, it's what's
Right.
next,
Right.
so people don't follow up. Maybe it's something that that we need to do is just kind of follow up and let people know, like, hey, this is this. I mean, we haven't said names, so we won't say his name because I just don't think that. I mean, he done something stupid, and one, we don't need to have any kind of legal stuff coming after us. But I think that maybe, and that's what I'll do. I'll try to keep an eye on trying to see what really happened, to where maybe the next time that we have you on, or if they have the court or anything like that, to where we can kind of keep up and let people know, like, hey, this is what happened, or it cost him such amount of money, or it done whatever the outcome is for this gentleman, to be able to let people know, like, hey, he really did get in trouble. He's having to serve time, or he's having to pay such and such amount of money. Because I think if people don't know what the punishment's going to be, then they're not going to be scared.
Right.
And
Have a great night, Stephen. Right.
Yeah, Stephen, thank you so much for being on, brother. And if they're not scared, then just like what Pappy was saying, they're going to do whatever they want to do. And then they're going to keep on doing it until they get caught. And then, so go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think they should kind of handle it how they handle stuff with like driver's licenses, right? You do something, infraction, say 6 months suspended, 1 year, same thing, right? Affect the livelihood, affect them, and say, okay, because don't get me wrong, we all screw up, we all have issues, we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
So I don't want to lynch somebody, but to say, listen, man, this is what happened. We got this is in place, but then moving forward, really have these things in place. So if you are thinking about it, say, well, if I get caught, I know what my license is going to be gone for 1 year. I may lose my guiding service, or sponsorships are totally gone. Whatever, however that looks, but put them in place.
Yeah,
set them up, put them in place.
Yeah, I mean, because baseball does it. Like, if you take a PED and you get popped for a PED, like, the first time is 60 game suspension. So I totally agree. I mean, and then your second time, like, you're missing a whole season's worth of games.
Right.
So, so I totally agree. I think that the punishment is either, one, not harsh enough for people to be worried about it, or they just don't care. I mean, I'm trying to get that quick dollar right now. That's what I'm worried about right now.
Right.
Well,
and like I said, like Melanie said, that's not a mistake, though. But you got to remember, we're all human. We all make mistakes, and whatever reason, maybe he was deep in debt with bills. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just saying there's a lot of different factors, I think, that make people, that all of us make those bad choices or bad decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the punishment that the two guys in 2022 got, they got 10 days, a felony charge, which, carries on for what?
Yeah, but it's also a felony charge is at least a year in prison.
Well, they got felony and misdemeanor. They got 10 days in jail, a year and a half of probation, $2,500 fine, a 3-year fishing license suspension, and they had to forfeit a $100,000 boat. I mean, to me, that's a smack on the hand. Other than the scrutiny that, their name is tarnished and they're not, respected in the community anymore, in the fishing community. And, I get all that, but still, you know what I mean?
I don't think I would do it again.
No. I don't think I'd do it in the first place, but. No,
right. But I'm just saying, at that point, I don't think I'd want to do it again.
I mean, But the thing is, I mean, and I guess I mean, you were able to find it pretty quick, Pappy, and but I guess that people just don't think about to go and look at it and see what really happened to it. You know, I mean, it's
Yeah,
public
yeah,
knowledge, um, but again, I mean, I know I know some places like down in Florida or even here, if somebody locally done something like that, they wouldn't have to. They would hope that TWRA or the Florida Wildlife would be the one that's getting a hold of them, because some of these boys here that's in these mountains, they would take it into their own hands, and
well, and that's what I was about to say. I mean, they would be lucky to make it off the stage.
yeah,
I mean, the two guys in at the Lake Erie tournament, they probably the only thing that saved them, honestly, is that people were filming. If there had not been, if it had been a time where there was no kind of electronics, them boys, they might have been a fish bait themselves. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know.
and some of these boys that's here, especially these, you know, these country boys and stuff that's around here, that I definitely would not want to be on the wrong side of them. And but let's see. Jerry says these states you discussed tonight, what is the revenue collected for a year? I really don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, to be honest.
I looked it up. I don't remember offhand, but it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot. And that's the other big thing where I don't know how they would look at that and go, we want to give up all this extra income yearly.
Yeah.
On all the different licenses.
Right, because they use that money, and correct me if I'm wrong, they use that money from the license to be able to, even just to maintenance, like a state park and stuff like that.
They're supposed to. Not to say they don't 100%, but they don't 100%. I've seen a decline, at least down here.
Right.
You would think for what they bring in, just Florida alone. I looked, it was massive. But.
And I mean, and I think Florida and Texas, I would say, would be the two that would probably get the most out of state fishermen. You know,
freshwater, saltwater.
Right.
And California.
So, California with the Delta and Clear Lake, and then being right there on the Pacific. He says, "What's your guess?" And he says, "What would you guess that it is in Florida?" I don't know. I mean, because it's in a year. I mean,
well, that's tough because are you talking? It depends on the amount of tags you're getting or stamps. Like, because you could trout, snook, reef fishing, all these. Because I just upped mine today, and there's all these different packages that you can put together.
Yeah, I mean, and he's just saying, just throw up a number. I would say,
just like the Price is Right, $1.
Yeah.
So here's Oregon's. Here's Oregon's for 2025. It generated 517 million in income, supporting over 10,300 jobs. And it's reaching it. It's going up to one. You know, the key revenue drivers include Dungeness, crab to see, and that's 68 million annually, and that's crab,
right. So, but if we're saying what a fishing, just the fishing licenses, right? That we're talking about a year in Florida, a couple million maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, their economic impact in like 2025 was 517 million. I mean, and that's commercial.
Right.
And the economic output in 2025 was 1.1 billion.
Yeah.
And that's harvesting and processing, and you got commercial landing. I mean, they would take a huge hit. Huge hit.
See, and
there's no way.
Yeah.
I just looked it up, and for 2024, it said Florida had approximately 1.74 million licensed anglers. that's not money. That's anglers, and so
That's probably in state.
I mean, it doesn't say. It just says licensed anglers ranked third in the United States for license. That's all combined right there.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so, I mean, and then what? I mean, how? I mean, because being an in-state person or getting an in-state license or an out-of-state license, I mean,
Big
I
difference.
mean, that's yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you had 1.74 million, and let's just say it was $20, I mean, that's over 20 million, almost $30 million just right there, just at $20. And and that's not counting getting the stamps and stuff like what you was talking about, Traveler.
I got mine today, freshwater, saltwater, and then I got a hard card, and it was $43, I think, for the year.
Yeah. So, Jerry said I guess it's recreation is 9.2 billion. Commercial is 3.2 billion.
Wow. Okay, there you go.
Totaling $12.4 billion. So, I mean, how can the state turn that down though?
They can't. They can't.
So
That's the thing. They can't. I mean, I guess they could.
I'm not going to say names real quick, but remember who you were telling me who you might be getting on the show?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if that's going to happen?
Yeah, we're going to have it happen.
Okay. Well, because my thought is, I was saying before, who you should reach out to about this, because if it is in fact something that could really come to fruition, I reach out to Ted Nugent.
Yeah. Well, I sent him a message actually after when we had the last episode that we had you on. I actually sent him a message.
So my thought was the guest that is going to come on, I know they know each other. I talked to him about that. Maybe he could reach out to him.
Yeah.
Because he's a huge advocate of that stuff, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And that's, I'll have Jerry will have to help me out with that to see. Because that would be, and because he knows he knows all this stuff that's going on too with it. And so,
I know he would like to be on something like this. I followed him for a long time. I met him years ago when they were something happened with hunting in Illinois, and we got to meet him at a rally.
Really? Yeah. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Matt Dillon says, "What do we know about Kentucky?" We know that they like Little Debbie's.
We know that they have good whiskey, good bourbon,
and we know that
they have big fish. Deer.
We know that the Corvettes are made in Kentucky. We know that we don't like Eastern Kentucky. I mean, we can keep on going. I know. Jerry says you can get my help any day, bro. I know, and I deeply appreciate it and respect all that you have done for us. But Matt, to go about I guess if you're talking about the numbers and stuff like Jerry was saying about Florida, what he pulled up about Florida, we'd have to look at or Google it and figure that out. But so right offhand, we do not know. So but Travis, I want to talk to you real quick. Let's kind of get off this subject because it's kind of sad and depressing. Because I hate a cheater for one. But I do think
so we're going to start talking about front-facing sonar? No.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
We can do
Just
it.
kidding.
We can do it.
I'm playing, that was a good segue.
let's talk about that cheater box. I mean, as soon as you put it on your boat, kayak, them fish just jump right on in, brother.
Yeah.
So, what is the baits that you're down in Florida?
Yep.
What are the baits that you are using right now?
Y'all excuse me for a minute.
You're good, brother.
Lipless, jackhammers, and soft plastics.
And what color are? Because I know right now up here we're kind of throwing like that red crawl colors and stuff. What are y'all throwing the crawl colors? Or have y'all switched to the shad colors?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where I'm, the body of waters. Like there's some spots that are really clear. There's other stuff that, stained and not so much. I don't fish any chocolate milk water, but if it gets overturned from like a lot of wind all day, but I'm throwing primarily either shad, bluegill patterns, or chromes, a lot of chromes, either the golds or like just the chrome silvers. Some bone, what I mean, but primarily right now I'm really just focused on a smaller color pattern: watermelon reds, June bug, black and blue.
Yeah. So because I haven't been down to Florida at this time of the year to fish, to say. So is there always a top water bite down in Florida?
I wish I had more of an answer to that. Typically there is, but again, I don't throw a ton of top water. It's just for me, it's very focused. I mean, it's either early morning or it's at evening time. But the last couple of weeks, well, I would say the last maybe 2 weeks prior to that, I was doing a lot of top water, but small stuff, just small poppers. You know what I mean? At some of the smaller neighborhood ponds, right? But like we all know who Fast Eddie is, right? You guys, I'm sure, know who Fast Eddie is down here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He throws a lot of top water, and he gets on them. But I feel like now we moved into that. We're kind of getting out of the spawn, so that they're feeding different. So again, I'm more focused early morning or that evening time. But I haven't thrown top water in a long time, as far as religiously to touch a ton on it.
Jerry says throw a swim jig, brother. So, have you thrown any of those Sakamoto shads?
No.
Oh man, Jerry's grandson Hunter, he pours his own baits and stuff like that, and he's got a little bait company called Wild Hunters right out of there, out of South Florida, and I've Jerry gave me a pack of them when he came up here, and I was able to use it. I was very surprised, and I have caught a lot of fish off of those Sakamoto shads, even in which I got the smaller ones, and I think he has a 5-inch and a 7-inch, and but those Sakamotos are phenomenal.
They look great.
So
Absolutely.
So Pappy, Jerry said Pappy snuck off with his thighs squinched tight. He said, "What the heck?"
It wasn't the thighs.
And then he says, "Welcome back, Pappy." So, but yeah, and we're throwing a lot right now. We're throwing pretty much similar stuff as the lipless crankbaits, the chatterbaits, and we're throwing swim baits. But again, it's all the chatterbaits or the vibrating jig, whatever you want to call it, is all, and the lipless is all in that the crawl color.
Okay.
The swim baits is they I get it's called Tennessee shad.
Yep.
So that's what I've been throwing right now. So
it's It's a little Tennessee shit,
Yeah,
Tennessee
that's
shad
it.
here, and the cool thing, I'm sure we all know as anglers, like I said, when we catch these fish, you grab it, do a little head shake, and if it spits something up, watch it, because lately, what they've been spitting up down here is this
Mm.
size
Yeah,
and almost identical to that. So we match that hatch and do that.
yeah. And so, do you throw those jerk baits quite a bit down there?
Yeah, right place, right time. Like I said, it's usually early, like end of December, mid January, when that water is really, really cold. But as it's starting to come up now, I start focusing on more bigger presentation, more faster moving baits.
Right.
But there's days where those are great, especially I'll go back to that during like the dog days of summer or really highly pressured bodies of water where they're seeing spinner baits, jackhammers, liplesses, slow it down like that. And, you know,
So, because with being here in Tennessee and stuff with the Tennessee River, and we got some highland reservoirs and stuff, so we have some of the bodies of waters are fairly deep, and so maybe like let's say a cold front comes through. Does it affect in which with your experience of being able to fish in different parts of the country? Does the like let's say a cold front comes through with the rain and all that? Have you seen that? Does it affect the fish more down in Florida with typically a body of water there is, I mean, what, 5 to 7 foot of water, maybe?
yeah,
I mean,
I think
maybe.
the deepest I probably fished near me is probably 7, 8
Yeah,
tops. But yeah, probably that 4 to 7 6 7 foot range.
yeah. And so, but does that cold front affect the fish in Florida more so with it being shallower water than it would in like a highland reservoir to where it is?
100%.
You may have 60, 80 foot deep water, even more. So,
Right. You know, Fishing up in Vermont when we lived up there near Burlington, fishing Lake Champlain, big, big difference. We're
right.
just going deeper, right? You're slowing it down, going deeper. Here, a cold front moves in, and that's how it was a few weeks ago, month and
Right.
a half, 2 months ago. One of the coldest times we've experienced down here, and it shuts them down.
Yeah.
I was catching them sporadic, but again, working for them, really slowing it down, relying on those flicker shads, the jerk baits, weightless stuff, but it definitely a big effect on them. It
Yeah.
will shut them off almost.
Yeah. So, we've had you almost an hour and 20 minutes, and we deeply appreciate it, brother.
Mm.
Um, I want to know: is there something that on the traveling fisherman's social media and stuff? Is there something that the people can be looking forward to uh, from you? I mean, and I know we hadn't talked about this before. I'm kind of popping this up on you
Yeah.
because I know that you do a lot of different things, um, and so. But is there something that you got coming up to where you can kind of not give us all the details on it, but kind of give us a little tease on what you may be doing here soon?
Yeah. I got a new phone, so that was major. That was one of my biggest
Yeah,
hurdles. What's slowed me down about not doing my videos and my how-to stuff, because again, even this, I probably look a little weird because there's a crack that runs right up through the middle of my of the camera, the storage. So now with this new phone, it's going to allow me to start putting together a little bit longer form videos, getting back to like the different series that I'm going to be doing. And you know yeah, we're gearing up to get out of here in a few weeks, so new adventures are on the horizon.
yeah. And so I know I'm excited to hear where the next place that y'all are going to be laying your head for a couple months. And so, I mean, it would not hurt our feelings, traveler, if it starts with a C and ends with an A. So, we would,
Chickamauga.
well, that, or, I mean, I was thinking of Chattanooga, but so, but, and so
We
we,
don't know yet.
yeah,
There's that's the beauty of this, and because even if we have our hearts set on one place, it all has to come together. She's got to get
Mm.
picked, the housing, fishing, all these different things. So we have a few places on the map, so far. So
That's, I mean, to me, it's kind of exciting, to be able to, to follow your travels, and because it's something definitely that you do not see all the time, and so
Yeah.
um,
yeah, for sure.
Jerry said, "I thought you were sending the poor guy to Canada." So
We still got to do. I still want to fish with as many people as I can before we get out of here. Like I said, our time's coming to a close, but yeah, I'm just looking forward to it all.
yeah, so let's can we try to? I know what about a year ago you were talking about on your page to where you want to start out with a bait and then send it to another person, have them film a fish catch with that bait. Is that something that you would still be interested in?
Yeah, I still want to do it. Like I said, my biggest hurdle on that was the phone issue about me. I
Yeah,
could do little clips of things here and there because even now on this phone, I'm at 99% full storage. Like everything's just all goofed up.
yeah,
So now with this new phone, it's a 1 terabyte. So there's no excuses. It's
yeah,
it's moving ahead full forward. There's a lot of stuff I want to do, but no, I want to do that for sure. That's going to be definitely one of the first few things that I do.
yeah. Well, then let's do this. Let's Deck Talk wants to. We're going to provide some baits for you to where you can
Okay.
send, and we will. I will get uh, Jerry to send some of Hunter stuff to where we can put we'll put Hunter's Wild Hunter stuff in that mix to where we can send it off to people, because I think
Okay.
that was a killer idea that you had, and we want to be a part of it, and so
Absolutely. Sounds
we
great.
will we will be we'll definitely, let's keep in touch with that, and we we may send something crazy, uh, some kind of glide bait or something like that to be able to, or something. I don't want to say exactly what it is, but
Gotcha.
we'll send something. Jerry, I know they make up some stuff that I may be able to get something crazy from him to be able to send.
Okay.
Mm.
So, and then he says Hunter Be Outdoors on YouTube is dropping 2 new baits later tonight. So, um, and I'll just say this: they are phenomenal. So I have seen them. So, but yeah, let's do that, and I think it'll be fun. I'll let Pappy try the baits out. I mean, he won't catch any fish, Traveler, but I'll let him throw it for a little bit. So,
Okay.
If somebody talk a lot of crap, be real small.
hey, the thing about it is, when they see us standing next to each other, they're gonna think we're brothers. So,
Yeah, I know.
so
Well, I'm just gonna take my little bath here. I'm gonna put some weights into it. I'm gonna practice.
you need to. You need to.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but guys, thank y'all for coming on. Um, we are going to have a episode that is going to be coming out Friday night at 6 p.m. It's a recorded episode. And because this Thursday, Pappy and I are heading to Knoxville for the Bassmaster Classic. And so we actually recorded a video or an episode with a Bassmaster Classic winner. And actually he, to kind of give a little drop out kind of who it is a little bit, he actually has a son that is fishing in the classic this year. So that will kind of let you know who it is. But it was a great episode. After that, next Tuesday, we are going to have Jake Lawrence with the Bass Pro Tour. Um, and talking about a young guy that has come up and swinging a big stick and is not uh, looking back. So we're going to have him come on talking about we're going to talk about that he was a guide and now fishing professionally. Um, yes, Randy Howe. And so that is who we're going to have on for Friday. Um, so, but keep in touch with us throughout. We've already kind of started pushing the stuff, talking about that we're going to be at the Bassmaster Classic. Check out Thursday. We're going to be interviewing during Media Day, and so we're going to be dropping some of the videos for the media day, and throughout the tournament and stuff, we're going to be watching the launch, the weigh-in. We're going to be filming, and then while we're at the expo, we're going to be going live as well and filming in there. And so while we're at the expo, I'll just say this: we have a huge surprise that I think will surprise everybody. I don't know if Pappy remembers, but he will once I tell him. But it's going to be a huge surprise who we're going to be able to interview while we're at the classic. So keep in touch with us. Keep an eye on what the Deck Talk podcast. We're going to have a busy week, and make sure when you see us to hit that like and share that out and help us out. And make sure in the description there's every single link that you can have for Traveling Fisherman is in the description. Go smash them, follow him, and have fun enjoying his content. And I mean, he will teach you how to do things, and it's just very enjoyable to watch. And so, make sure you tell him that you've seen him here on Deck Talk Podcast. And but other than that, guys, we're going to be packing up as soon as we hit the end. We're going to be packing up and getting stuff ready to head to Knoxville. We will see you there. And
hey, one other thing. I'm gonna do a drop real quick. It ain't I be looking for Deck Talk to be coming out with some major news before ICAST.
yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
And Jerry wanted me to tell you, Pappy, that our special guest that we're going to be interviewing at the Classic is not going to be Taylor Swift. So he knows that you're going to cry.
Oh,
I mean, that's the one I was looking for most.
Pap, you know what you got to do? Just shake it off.
Right.
So, but Traveler, man, thank you so much. And like always, man, we enjoy having you come on here and chit chatting. And because there's no telling where the conversation is going to go, and the fellowship and the friendship that we have developed over the past year and a half, 2 years is deeply appreciative. And so,
me too, brother. Me too. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
We're definitely going to have you come back on, and especially when you get to your new place, because that's what we got to do. We got to have you come on, and so. But guys, thank you so much, and we hope that you have a blessed one. Remember, God loves you as if you were the only person in this world to love, and we will see you